60 Minutes Rewind.
Few teams have been as glorious on the soccer field as the United States women's national team. They've won 3 World Cups, 4 Olympic gold medals, and set the standard in the most popular sport on the planet. But despite their achievements, the players say they have been discriminated against, paid less, and treated worse next to the U.S. men's team. Soccer may be known as the beautiful game, but the team has embarked on a bruising and historic legal fight for equality, and their opponent is the U.S. Soccer Federation, their own employer. For the players, it's the match of their lives. They hope a victory will help close the gap, not just in sport, but in any job where women do the same work as men for less pay.
We feel like we're treated like second-class citizens because they don't care as much about us as they do the men.
Lloyd will try a long hit. What a goal from Lloyd!
Carly Lloyd is considered the best female soccer player in the world and captains the U.S. team. We recently spoke to her, co-captain Becky Sauerbrunn, and their teammates Kristen Press and Morgan Bryan.
There's a long history of athletes battling their employers for more pay. It happens in the NBA, it happens in the NFL. What's different about this fight?
This is a social movement, I think. This is about gender discrimination, and I don't think that positive change occurs in the world unless it has to.
How does this fight rank in some of the competitions you've been in?
It's the fight, you know? I mean, we have been in some major battles on the field, but this could be the fight that we are a part of.
The team is made up of the best female soccer players from around the country, and for 25 years, they've ruled the world. In 1999, when Brandi Chastain scored to beat China in the finals of the World Cup, her celebration announced the beginning of a new era in women's sports. For the 2015 final, an estimated 30 million people watched on TV in the U.S. as Carly Lloyd's 3 goals sealed a huge win against Japan. It was, and remains, the highest-rated soccer match in American history, including games played by the U.S. men.
We're America's dream team, and we've been at the forefront. We've been at the top, and I think the #1 team in women's sports history.
How has U.S. Soccer Federation helped you guys make it to where you are?
When you compare this federation to all the other federations across the globe, they have invested the most money in this women's program. They have, and that's why we've gotten as far as we have. But to be paid equally, you know, it's not about what they think is fair, it's what is fair.
After their 2015 World Cup triumph, the team was honored with a parade down New York City's Canyon of Heroes. But behind the ticker tape, their relationship with U.S. Soccer was breaking down over a new contract. Outspoken goalkeeper Hope Solo was on the team for 19 years.
Time and time again, we asked that we wanted to be paid equally to the men. And I'll never...
You've been asking for that for many years?
Yeah, we have. We have. Every time we brought up the men, it pissed them off, it annoyed them, and they'd say, don't bring up the men, don't bring it up.
Globally, men's soccer is undeniably more popular and profitable than the women's game. When Germany won the World Cup in 2014, FIFA, the sport's international governing body, awarded them $35 million. A year later, when the U.S. women won the Cup, the U.S. Soccer Federation received $2 million.
Run in the box.
Men also make major league salaries playing for brand-name club teams. Women's pro clubs have struggled financially. So the women say they rely on their national team income to pay their bills, unlike the men.
How are they paid differently?
There's 2 different pay structures. The men get paid per game. Whether they win or lose, they get paid. The women were on a salary-based contract.
It's a pay structure the women themselves wanted and agreed to in 2005 and again in 2013. A consistent salary of up to $72,000 a year and bonuses for wins of $1,350. They also get health insurance and maternity leave. The men enjoy no guaranteed salary and fewer personal benefits, but they can make as much as $17,625 for a win. We wanted to compare two of the top players. Salaries vary, but in 2015, Hope Solo was paid about $366,000 in total by U.S. Soccer. In 2014, also a World Cup year for the men, Team USA goalkeeper Tim Howard was paid $398,495. She played in 23 games for the U.S. He played in 8.
When you break it down per game, I think it's about 3 times as much.
2 years ago, Hope Solo convinced the team to hire lawyer Rich Nichols to try to get them a better contract.
And I said, look, you are in control. This is your business. You have to take control of it, and you can be in control of it, but you have to be unified. You got to get a new deal.
What kind of deal would the women accept?
Equal pay.
Well, what does equal mean? You want the same agreement the men have?
We want the same money that the men are making. Exactly. That's $5,000 minimum. That's that $8,000 bonus if you tie a game, and the $17,625 if you win. We want equal money.
We have to win and perform in order to even make $1,350.
You're professional women. You signed this deal. Do you look back and say, why did I agree to that deal, or?
A little bit, but it's also, when it comes down to it, we just kind of had to be like, oh, you're just going to say no to everything that we're putting on the table. We didn't know how to fight and in which ways we could fight.
Do you think you should be paid more than the men's team?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
We win. We're successful. Should get what we deserve.
Last year, the top female players did make more money from U.S. Soccer than the men's team. But their lawyer, Rich Nichols, says that's only because they played and won more games than the men.
When you subtract the bonus money that these women made in 2015, you know, they're probably making $70,000 to $80,000 apiece.
So you mean had they not been winning, they would not have made anywhere close to what the men made?
That's right.
Despite being upset at last summer's Olympics, the women are still #1 in the world according to FIFA. They say their fight is only with U.S. Soccer, not with the U.S. men's team, who are ranked a respectable, if unspectacular, 24th in the world.
The story will continue after this.
This team taught all America's children that playing like a girl means you're a badass.
On stage at the White House in October 2015, they were national heroes celebrating their latest World Cup win. Back on the job, they were disgruntled workers whose negotiations with U.S. Soccer had ground to a halt and grown increasingly bitter. The women decided to change tactics. Enter the federal agency known as the EEOC, or the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
Why file this suit with the EEOC?
We wanted to put pressure on them, and so with the EEOC complaint, it seemed like a no-brainer for us.
Their complaint accuses U.S. Soccer of violating the Equal Pay Act and Title VII, which protects employees against discrimination based on sex. The commission has the power to award damages, issue the right for workers to sue, or do nothing at all.
This has never been done before?
No, not by professional athletes, no.
Why is this case so different?
Because there's never been a situation where the same employers has hired men and women to play the same sport under the same working conditions.
Like the WNBA and the NBA are two separate organizations.
Correct. Same employer, same job, same work conditions, same everything.
The Federation's lawyers responded to the EEOC complaint by saying any differences in the compensation paid men and women players are driven by factors other than gender. Major factors, according to U.S. Soccer, are revenue and TV ratings. They say men's games on channels like ESPN average audiences 4 times larger than the women. USA! But the Federation sells both teams to broadcasters and sponsors as one entity, this year for about $45 million.
They're banking on it.
The president of U.S. Soccer is Sunil Gulati. He teaches economics at Columbia University. We requested an interview with Mr. Gulati, but he declined. In a statement, the Federation said they are actively working to reach a new agreement with the women's team.
They're looking backwards. You know, we're looking to go forwards from now and on. And we've shown, and they've projected in their own financials that we are going to make them money. So it's, I think, unfair to pay us less based on performances in the past.
Thank you.
Thanks.
According to U.S. Soccer's own projections for this year, the women will net about $5 million from ticket sales, while the men will lose about $1 million. But it turns out this labor dispute is about more than just money. 60 Minutes has learned the EEOC is also asking questions about the differences between the men and women when it comes to playing conditions, equipment, and travel.
How do the women travel to games?
Well, we fly and coach.
The men, though, is part of their agreement, fly first class.
Yes.
To be able to perform like we do and to be the best in the world, we should be treated the same as them.
We were curious what this fight means to a younger generation of female soccer players. Asia Horn, Annalise Schwartz, Sarah Sullivan, and Joelle Kelly told us they closely follow the women's national team on social media. They play for Marymount, an all-girls school in Manhattan, and for local soccer clubs, where they've also noticed differences in how the male and female teams are treated.
The boys' teams would get more field time than the girls' teams. We would have to share space with other age groups, while the boys would have full field.
So, Joelle, given what the disparities that you've noticed and what you're witnessing the U.S. women's soccer team do, what's the lesson that you learned from that?
What they're doing is for us, so we can have that equal pay and so that we can be on the same level as men.
The women's contract with U.S. Soccer expires this coming New Year's Eve. Whether or not the EEOC decides in their favor, they say they'll remain focused on their goal with all options on the table.
If you don't get a ruling from the EEOC, if you don't get what you want from the Soccer Federation, will you go on strike?
It would be a discussion that we would have to have.
There's a possibility that they may strike if they don't get equal pay. Would you support that?
Yes.
Why?
Because nothing's going to change. If they don't stand up for what they want, they're never going to get it.
Would you like to meet some women on the U.S. women's soccer team?
Yes.
Hello.
Nice. Hi.
How you doing, Charlie?
I'm Becky. It's great to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Morgan. Oh, you're crying. I'm Becky. It's great to meet you.
What does it mean to meet these guys?
The world.
This is history making, what we're doing, what we're fighting for. It not only resonates with this team and with generations to come, but it's global as well.
Carly, you keep saying you're united. How far are you going to take this?
Until we get what we want.